Hello, quick tutorial today to have a look at how we can automate a load test with Maven and OctoPerf. Well, first thing, let's have a look at the setup I have right there. We are currently in a workspace called Demo, where I have a project that is called My Project right here. And in this project, I have one runtime profile I have called Standard. So the idea would be to automate the runtime here through Maven. First, let's have a look at what we have in the documentation regarding Maven. If I search for it, I can see the Maven plugin page on the documentation, and we can go to the plugin itself. Note that we already have other plugins for solutions like Jenkins, or you could use our REST API. But the good thing with the Maven plugin is that instead of having to directly use the API, he will abstract some of the method of our API automatically for you. For instance, execute scenario here will not only run a test, but also check its status, wait until it's finished to download and display you the result. So it's a very efficient way to automate the test, and Maven can integrate with any CI tool on the market, so that's also why it's very efficient. So in my case, I have already installed Maven on my computer. So that's I have it right there, the latest version of Maven installed. You can install it yourself. Just do a quick check to make sure it's working fine. It's to do mvn-v to see if it's running and it can find your Java virtual machine. I'm on Windows, but the command line is similar on any operating system. So now I know Maven is working, everything is fine in that regard. What I need to come up with is the pom.xml file that we will use to run our test. And the way this is done is first you have an example here you can copy paste from our documentation. So let's copy that and put it in a new text file. Let's make that a bit prettier. There we go. Now, what we need to change is this section, configuration. That's where we'll input our parameters. For this quick tutorial, I propose we focus on executing a test scenario. So I will go directly to this section of the documentation. I can quickly search for that to find it. There we go. All right, execute scenario. So that's the one we want to run. We have a couple of parameters we can use. The scenario name is not mandatory, but I mean, if your project only has one scenario, like I have in my case here, I only have one, then you don't have to specify it. But it's a good practice to do it anyway, because if someone else creates a new runtime scenario in this project, it will break the chain. There are other settings. Most of them are activated by default. Do we download the JUnit report and the logs activated by default, so I will leave it that way. I have not activated JTLs, but if I had, I could specify it as an additional parameter. And the same thing goes for stop test if threshold. We could set it to warning or critical to say, okay, if there is an SLA, either warning or critical, I want to stop the test. But we will go for a simple config. That's what you can see right there. We could add other elements in this list, of course. That's what I was just saying. So back to our XML file, pom.xml file, I will add these. I will just paste what we just copied. And let's make it here. And if we go back to OctoPerf, if you remember the workspace name, that's this one right there, it was demo. So that's what I will input. The product is my product, and the runtime scenario is standard. So let's set it up that way. We've got demo, we've got my project, and we've got standard to finish. Of course, you should input your API key. I will not show you mine, but I can show you where it is. You have to go into your profile page. And on your profile page, you can see it here and you can copy it directly. And that's what you need to input in that last field. I already did it on the pom.xml that's on my disk. In any case, if I now go back, if I save it here over this file, what I have to do is to run a command. I will open a command line interface pointing to that folder, which can be done this way in Windows. And back to the documentation on the Maven plugin, it's telling me that, okay, I need to run it this way, mvn octoperf execute scenario. So I will just input that in my command line interface. There we go. We will see that it's starting, it's identifying the project, the workspace. We will be running a test shortly. We have the link to the test report. We can also go inside OctoPerf in the Analysis tab, and I expect to see, you see the test is pending right now. There we go. Of course, we have the stages as well in the command line interface. That's what you would get in your CI tool if you execute this as a Maven step. We'll see a few statistics while the test is running. We'll wait until we have a few of those, then we'll just stop the execution and have a look at what we get in terms of reporting. And there we go, we have the first report coming. Of course, for now it's empty. We'll have to wait for a few seconds to get the first metrics. And obviously, if you let it run long enough, you'll have all your metrics in there. We get some metric. There we go. We have the first hits coming and first response time. So if I stop the test manually in OctoPerf, that will end the Maven build. That's what I'm going to do. It's just to show you that it will detect when the test is finished. And that way, if you're running it as a part of a CI chain, it will know when the test is done and when you can move on to the next step. So there we go. We have it right here. If I go back on the disk where I had the pom.xml, I have a target folder where I can see the JUnit report. And if we open it in as a new text file, we can see in there all the different values. Of course, the test was very short, so we don't have many executions, but I can see what the state is, and I can use that to decide if it went okay or not. Anyway, I hope it was useful, and feel free to try it out on yourself. And of course, if you have any trouble, you know where to find us. Just drop us a message on the chat. So thank you for watching, and hope to see you soon on OctoPerf.